Certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Welcome to another episode of Rankum. It's going to be a fun one today. We're going back to an actor which I've only seen a handful. Now I've seen a lot more of his movies because of the topic. And that's Jimmy Stewart. But I've got a great one here. It's been a while since I've seen him, but I'm new content here from a classic actor Kirk is here. Kirk, how's it going?
Very well. Thank you for having me, Malcolm. I had to be on today to represent my hometown boy, Jimmy Stewart, Indiana, PA. We'll call that greater Pittsburgh area for the purpose of today's show. I'm drinking out of my Jimmy Stewart Museum mug today in honor of the gentleman. And I'm excited. I feel like there is a pretty much set canon of Stewart movies that everybody thinks are the best, kind of universally agreed. So I'm excited to see how we agree on or disagree on those and how we fill in the rest of the list from there. So it should be a good show.
And also he was the last minute addition, but we're glad to have him. Dan, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Hey, glad I could pinch hit here for Jimmy Stewart. I've been watching Jimmy Stewart movies for probably 45, 50 years of my life. So yeah, I think I've seen quite a few of his movies, and I'm glad to be here with you and Kirk. I know you guys appreciate this amazing actor.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've already discovered a lot of these movies just this week. I got advice from people of what ones I should watch, and I've tried to get as much as I could. But with that, we're going to each nominate how Rankin works. We're going to each nominate a Jimmy Stewart movie we think belongs on a top 12 list, and then everyone else will say yes or no to it. But Kirk, we're going to go to you first. What is the first movie you're going to bring up?
Okay. Let's get the obvious stuff out of the way first. It's a Wonderful Life. Obviously is the one of the, I'd say, at least top three movies everybody thinks about Jimmy Stewart. I think it's just not just a good Christmas movie or good holiday movie. It's just one of the all-time great movies. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's sappy and it's corny and all these things. I think people who say that don't really pay attention to what the movie actually is. It's a movie about a man slowly being driven to the point of suicide. And I think there's a lot of serious themes and issues that apply here. And I think people overlook Stewart's performance. I think he's just giving such the movie lives and dies by his performance. I think it just starts out. You have that scene where towards the beginning, when you first see him as an adult with the suitcase and the freeze frame, and you see that light in his eyes. Is it all that excitement of everything he's going to do with his life? And for the next 2 hours or so, you watch that light slowly dim. And then at that final scene on the bridge, well, not the final scene, but that scene on the bridge where Bert the cop comes finds him, and he calls him George, and it's you know me, Bert, and I'm getting choked up just thinking about the scene. But you see that light come back, and I think that's so much, like I said, rides with Stewart's performance on this. I think it's so beautifully directed. The cinematography is great. I always think about that tracking shot of the wedding day. With the run on the bank, where you follow George Bailey running to the bank in the rain with all the people with the umbrellas, and the camera turns and it's just his back facing the camera with all those people waiting outside. So many beautiful moments like this. So yeah, it kind of gets kind of side tracked. It's like oh, that's just a really fun Christmas movie people like to watch, but there's a lot here, just a lot of fantastic filmmaking. So that's going to be my first appeal.
Dan, what do you say about It's Wonderful Life?
Yeah, I mean, I knew if Kirk or you or somebody went first, they were going to bring up It's a Wonderful Life. So I mean, it's a banger of a film. I watch it every Christmas. People say, is it really a Christmas movie or whatever? It's the number one Christmas movie as far as I'm concerned. You don't want to call it a Christmas movie, whatever. Doesn't bother me any. I call it a Christmas movie, and I love exactly everything that Kirk said. I mean, he really delved into a lot of the personal and the performance from Jimmy Stewart as Bailey and stuff like that. And I mean, the director, this director, come on, tell me who the director is. God, why can't I remember his name?
Frank Capra.
Frank Capra is just, he really gets to the heart of his lead actor or his lead actor or whatever, and he knows how to really get across the emotions of what the story is and the character development from the performance from the actor, and I think Jimmy Stewart really does that here with It's a Wonderful Life. So it's a big yes for me.
Yeah, this is one of those ones where it's crazy to think this one technically sort of bombed sort of at the box office when it first released, because they released it in January, which is, but yeah, I love It's a Wonderful Life. It's one of my go-to Christmas movies, and yeah, so it's an easy yes for me as well. So It's a Wonderful Life is going to make the list. And Dan,
I'll say this too, Dan. I think talking about like that controversy isn't a Christmas movie. I think more than a Christmas movie, it's a great end of the year movie. I think at the end of the year, you're thinking about all the things you did or didn't do, and did it matter? Did it count? And I think it's a great catharsis to watch this every year and just kind of like through this guy's eyes, all the little things you may have done in life that mattered. And
absolutely. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I think no, it's okay. And I mean, I didn't mention that. I mean, if you count just fluid ounces of the amount of tears that a movie makes me cry, this movie makes me cry every time I watch it. I try not to, and I get worse every year. It used to get me that last line, my brother George Bailey, the richest man in town. That's what used to do it. Now it's earlier and earlier in the movie every year, and I think I'm just getting old.
Yeah, it's just a great movie. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. I think most film cinephiles, aficionados, whatever you want to call us, would put this on the list of one of the greatest movies of all time. It's just not just a great Jimmy Stewart movie. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. I'm going to go with another great movie. A couple times ago on the Sight and Sound list, it was the number one movie. This is a poll of I think 100, 200, or 500. I can't remember what the number of film critics all over the world. They come up with this list, the Sight and Sound list. And the number one movie, not this last time, because this movie was number 2 this last time. John Dielman was number 1, I believe. But it was number 1 a couple times ago. And there's a reason. Because it's a phenomenal film. It's got phenomenal cinematography, phenomenal direction, great acting from Kim Novak. But the guy that sells this movie is Jimmy Stewart in Vertigo. Vertigo, to me, is a phenomenal film. And, I mean, for a movie to be like in the 50s and 60s and look this good, I mean, it is one of the most gorgeous movies I have ever seen. It captures San Francisco. We get Dirty Harry. We got Zodiac. We get a lot of movies that capture San Francisco, but they don't capture San Francisco like this. I mean, you want to go to San Francisco after watching Vertigo. It's that gorgeous of a movie. But it's also about a man's obsession with a woman. He tries to turn this other woman into the woman he lusts after, us men sometimes, Kirk excuse, he's got a wife. He's a married man with a family. A lot of us men, we like to lust after women. And tell you what, this movie really shows you what men sometimes do when it comes to lusting after women, what they'll go to lust after a woman. But yeah, I absolutely love Vertigo. Hitchcock, it's one of my favorite Hitchcock films. So I'm going to pick Vertigo.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be the only time you're going to see Hitchcock on this list. But yeah, Vertigo is a great movie. It's been ages since I've seen it. But I do remember really enjoying it. Yes, I'm going to say yes to it. Kirk, what do you say about Vertigo?
Vertigo is a movie that has never clicked for me, and it makes me sad. I've watched it several times, and I just wish someone could get like the key for me to unlock it to see what everybody else sees in it. The times I've watched it, I've been kind of bored. I think a lot of it is just like Jimmy Stewart wandering aimlessly through San Francisco, and I agree with Dan that it looks great. But I feel like it just lost a lot of aimlessness. I feel like it's a movie where you go back to after you know the plot. That makes it a little less rewatchable. And I knew this would come up. I knew I'd vote no on it, but it doesn't. It's more symbolic than anything because if there's 3 of us, but if there were 20 people on this panel, there'd probably be 19 votes yes. Again, like this is a movie I know I'm the odd man out on, and I'm jealous that everybody else enjoys this so much. I've never figured out why. So it objectively belongs on this list, but for me personally,
that Vertigo is going to make the list, and it's on to me. I'm going to go for one. I'm going to go for one of his many sort of best actor nominated roles, and it's one that I watched for the first time for this, and because I've heard a lot about it, and that's Harvey. Like Harvey's a really sort of fascinating like movie about this guy who sort of sees this giant rabbit, and it's just sort of a fascinating sort of thing, like a tale and like sort of mental illness and all that. And it's just one of those ones that I think it's a really well-made movie, and I'm pretty sure I remember reading that. I'm pretty sure Jimmy Stewart sort of appeared in the made-for-TV remake of the movie as well, which I haven't seen. But yeah, so I think Harvey is a sort of fantastic movie. I think Jimmy Stewart gives a great performance in it. And yeah, but Kurt, what do you say about Harvey?
Yeah, I think this, in a lot of ways, is the ultimate Jimmy Stewart performance because he's so well known for playing those guys who kind of have like that, like Americana innocence to them, kind of dance to the beat of their own drum, and this just takes that up to 11, and where he just complete in his own world. I just think it's a really sweet movie, and again. That's the thing about Jimmy Stewart. He could take a role where you could look at it like, this is kind of corny, but he just brings so much sincerity to it that it works. And I think this is one of those roles in one of those movies. So, yeah, this is definitely a yes for me.
And Dan, what do you say about Harvey?
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Harvey, but I respect the movie as a whole. And I respect Jimmy Stewart in the movie as a whole. The whole concept of seeing a fake rabbit that's not there, and I know it's mental illness, and the rabbit represents mental illness and stuff like that. In the 60s, dogged, and they can't really delve into mental illness the way we delve into mental illness today in movies. So they have him represent he sees a big rabbit that's not really there. You know what I mean? I get it. I just haven't been a fan of it. And I know a lot of people do like Harvey. I'm glad you like it, Malcolm. But it would have been a no for me. But I'm glad you like it though. I have no issues with that.
And you just know if they did a modern remake of Harvey, they'll CGI rabbit that in the background of shots that only the main actor can see. Make it look, and I think that would make it look a little more corny. But Kurt, we go back to you. What is your next nomination?
Okay. Yeah, Malcolm, you mentioned Hitchcock. I hope we're not going to do that thing where we're like, well, we don't want to overrepresent one director on the list because I could think of at least 3 directors that Stewart had like long-term relationships, and I think like multiple of maybe all their movies belong on this. So I hope we're not holding that against anything else now that we've had some, we got Capra and we got Hitchcock on here already. I'm going to go with another Hitchcock. This is one of my favorite. This is probably my second favorite Hitchcock movie. I've always loved this one. I'm going to go with Rope. Rope, if you want to see the story about, it's based on a true murder, the Leopold Loeb murder, I believe, where 2 college students, they murder a friend of theirs just to prove they can get away with it. And Jimmy Stewart is a professor of theirs who they kind of give credit to inspiring this, because basically Jimmy Stewart teaches like academically the philosophy of basically, you know, the smarter people should be able to get away with what they want and do what they want, and they should have a higher place in society. And again, it's that academic question he puts out there, but they take it seriously. And they kill this guy, and just as kind of a game, they hide him in a chest in this room, and they're going to they invite a party, people over for a party, including Jimmy Stewart, including one of the kids' parents, which is so dark. But they it's really cool just to watch that kind of cat and mouse. But also Jimmy Stewart as that professor is the one kind of figuring it out, and watch him go through with that and realize that he's eventually responsible for these actions is kind of just a great. He again, another great performance from him. Also, the fact it's shot as one continuous take. It's not actually one. You know, back then I think you could only physically do like 10 minutes or so on a roll of film. So you couldn't do a full take movie back then, but it's shot and disguised in a way where it's all one looks like one continuous take, and just a lot of really cool tricks in the way they do it. It's really well shot. I love the scene where one of the murderers has the titular rope that they use to strangle the guy with, and he's just being real nonchalant with it, and the kitchen door that goes to the main dining room where the party's taking place swings on a hinge, and he goes in and he's just kind of playing around with it. He's like, I'm going to go put it away. And he goes in, and the door swings shut, and it swings open. You see him drop the thing in the drawer, and it swings closed. And just like a lot of really cool shots like that throughout the film. So I just for the intrigue, the story, the performances, and the way it's shot, this, like I said, is one of my favorites. So I'm going to go through.
Dan, what do you say about Rope?
Yeah, you know, I don't have Rope on my list, my personal list, which I've been making up as we've been talking, going along, going through, making up my list as we've been going on. But I was going to, in my head, I was like, if somebody brings up Rope, I wasn't going to say no to it because it's a great film. It's another great Hitchcock film. And it just shows you, you know, we get Johnny Depp and Tim Burton, we get Robert De Niro and Martin Scorsese, you know what I mean? We get Jimmy Stewart was like a muse for Alfred Hitchcock in a lot of ways. He just made so many great films with this man, and it just shows you this. We're already bringing up the second one, and there's more to come before this is all over with, because they just are a great team together. And you can't just, it's Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart, so you can only put one on the list. No, it's not like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings or Star Where Malcolm, you probably didn't have a rule like that. So I was glad that you don't have a rule where we can only bring up one Hitchcock, Jimmy Stewart movie, because, you know, there's so many great ones. So yeah, I wasn't going to say no to Rope, and I'm glad you brought it up, Kirk. So yes.
I mean, I would have cut Kirk off by now if I was going to make that one. I'm not going to let him talk about Rope and then say, "Oh, you know, it's not."
Yeah, I got
you. Also, I haven't seen enough Jimmy Stewart to be super picky about movies, but unfortunately, Rope is the only one of the collaborations between Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart I didn't get to. I really wanted to, I just couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know where it's streaming at the moment, but it's not
fine.
streaming.
That's great.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely on my list to watch. Because even Jonathan Caro hyped it up as well, but it's going to make the list regardless. And Dan, we go back to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just kind of alluded to something that was going to happen before it happened, because I mean, Jimmy Stewart and Alfred Hitchcock are a great team, and I'm not purposely bringing up another Jimmy Stewart Alfred Hitchcock collaboration because I don't want to bring up any other movies. It's just I just love this movie so much that I just have to bring it up right now, and it's about a photographer who gets a broken leg. And he's stuck in his apartment, and he's looking out of his apartment, and he's got the street. He's got the apartment building next to him. He's got all the apartments, and he sees all the different stuff going on. He's got the married couple. He's got the lovers. He's got the guy downstairs. He's got all these different. So he's looking out his window, and all of a sudden, He thinks he sees a murder across the way. And so Jimmy Stewart's character and his girlfriend, I mean, I might add, played by Grace Kelly, she's phenomenal in the movie, try to figure out if this guy actually killed his wife in the apartment downstairs. And that murderer is played by none other than Raymond Burr, Ironside himself, and Perry Mason, if you know any of those TV shows. I watched Rear Window as a kid so many times, and I love movies that give you this perspective from one point of view where they're looking around and seeing things go on. Like Disturbia, for instance, was a very well done reboot, a very well done reboot. I think Disturbia is of Rear Window. Christopher Reeve did one. I didn't think it was that good. But I am a massive fan of this movie. Jimmy Stewart and Grace Kelly are amazing in this. And Raymond Burr as the quote-unquote killer, whatever. Another great cinematography, looking across the way and stuff like that. Yeah, so I got Rear Window, another Hitchcock-Stewart collaboration.
Yeah, if you didn't bring it up, this was going to be the next one I was going to bring up. I watched this for the first time last year, just for no reason, just because I felt it was just appeared on streaming. I was like, you know what, I'll watch it. I think Rear Window is fantastic. Like, I just think the opening credit sequence where you just go through the house, you see all these random people and like just that. There was that one couple that had the beard in the like stairwell like on the side of the board. It was like, what? so just that opening scene is like, it makes you wonder like, what the hell's going on in this alleyway or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, no, I think the movie's fantastic. It was just and there was a lot of intrigue of like if what was happening was actually happening or was in his head, and it's a lot of fun. And yeah, so it's an easy yes for me for Rear Window. Kurt, what do you say about Rear Window?
Yeah, this was also next on my list, so I think it was destined to make it. Again, another top 3 Hitchcock for me. The one thing I'll say about this film is it is an all-time feat of set design. Just that the fact that apartment facade was basically fully built, and those apartments were functional, like livable. They had running water and heat and everything, and just to go to that extreme, it looks so great. I love the fact you have on the one side, from his point of view, that alley. Alleyway going down to that street, you can see that street corner, and just the whole movie, like life is just happening on that street, like it's fully active. And I just love that. The first almost hour, I'd say first half of the movie, is just him looking at the apartment building and everything before the murder happens or doesn't happen, but before that inciting incident. And I'm sucked in. If that was the whole movie, I'd be fine with it. It's just so cool to watch. So yeah, definitely blows on the list.
That Rear Window is going to make list. It's getting back to me, and I'm gonna go for this one, and see what happens. But I'm gonna bring up Anatomy of a Murder, which I think is a fantastic courtroom drama, which might actually have surpassed 12 Angry Men as my favorite courtroom drama of all time. Because this was one of those like courtroom dramas that I was just like hooked all through this, and just thought it was really well done, and just you had no idea sort of who did it or what twists and turns they're going to throw at you, and it was just a really well done courtroom drama. I think it's Otto Preminger who was the director of it, and I think the way he did it, I think he did it in a way which I think he made it really work. I think Jimmy Stewart is great in it. Kurt, what do you say about Anatomy of a Murder?
Yeah, it's hard to really pull me. I'm not a huge fan of procedurals, so you really got to do a lot of heavy lifting to get me into it. And I think this one pulls it off. I think Stewart's character of just like that kind of like washed up over the hill lawyer who has to come back and prove himself and has that subplot going. I always love that when you have like that, the main character's subplot kind of going parallel with the themes of the main story, are always really cool. I think his back and forth with George C. Scott, and this is great. Just all the courtroom scenes are really good. George C. Scott's great. And I'm a big Ben Gazzara fan. He's somebody I just anytime he pops up in a movie, I get excited. And seeing him here this young, this is one of his, like, if not his first, one of his first feature roles. And I think he's just really solid as well. And the actress who plays his wife, Lee Merrick, is it Lee Merrick?
Remick.
Yeah, Lee Remick. Yeah, she I think she just rounds the cast off really great as well. So yeah, definitely yes for me.
And Dan, what do you say about Anatomy of a Murder?
Yeah, Malcolm, I love Anatomy of a Murder. I watched it. I got the Criterion a few years ago, and I watched it back to back. I watched it twice in a row because I loved it so much. I was like, I cannot believe this is a real movie. This movie is so good. And Jimmy Stewart, it just shows you what a great actor he is. But especially if you give him a good supporting cast and a good story, boy, he could really just suck you into the story and stuff. And this is a great, I agree 100%, Malcolm. Great courtroom drama. And what you said, Kurt, about his personal drama compared to the courtroom drama, how they parallel each other, that's very fascinating. It really makes the movie that much better. So a big yes for me.
The Anatomy of a Murder is going to make the list. And we go back to Kirk. Kirk, what is your next nomination?
Okay, I got two to pick from here, and which one I want to talk about more because I have a feeling they're both going to get brought up this round. But I will start. I'll go with another capper. I'm going to do Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Again, I think this is Jefferson Smith after George Bailey is probably Stewart's best and most iconic character. And what I love about this, it's almost like two movies. The first half is like that, like raw Americana, Jimmy Stewart, like stereotypical kind of thing that everybody thinks about when they think about this movie. And then the second half is kind of like a dark political drama that really gets in like the grittiness, and you start rolling around the mud a little bit and find out like everything that's going behind the scenes. It gets kind of ugly. I think Claude Rains is great as like his mentor / antagonist, and just his story. That this goes like it's almost like his movie, because if you think about it, spoiler alert, you have that great filibuster scene, one of Jimmy Stewart's best scenes that he's ever done. But at the end of the movie, he loses. Like on his own, he fails, and it's because of Claude Rains that things get turned around, and the decision he makes that makes things right. But that's the kind of movie this is. I think. And I'm looking up the actor's name. The guy, Thomas Mitchell. Thomas Mitchell coming back here also, played Uncle Billy in It's a Wonderful Life. Plays one of the reporters in this film, and I think his sidekick character, along with Jean Arthur, kind of his like Greek chorus following him around, and the experience also with them are fantastic. Again, Claude Rains, another actor I love to see and always get excited when he pops up. So yeah, I think this is definitely a no-brainer for this list.
Dan, what do you say about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what, you gotta love a great political movie, a political thriller, and I'll tell you, well, this is one of the first real original political thrillers and stuff like that. And Jimmy Stewart, like you said, Kurt, I mean, I hate to keep reiterating what you're saying, Kurt, but you're so right, man. You're just so on the spot. You so know what you're talking about. He is so good, and with all the political intrigue that's going on in the country now, this movie is more relevant today than it ever was with the political problems we're going through in this country. We need guys like Mr. Smith to step it up in this country. I mean, I hate to bring out politics, but I mean, we're talking about a political movie, But you're right. Oh, guy, Claude Rains is amazing. I mean, when he's in a movie, it's going to be a great movie because he just doesn't pick 50,000 movies to be in when he was an actor. He was in a select few movies and if you go back through his filmography, he's in some real bangers, Claude Rains is, you know what I mean? And he's great in every one of the movies he's in. But Jimmy Stewart, he's that guy that we all resonate with. Like we want to go to Washington and fight for some cause or fight for some issue or whatever. Don't we? I mean, obviously Malcolm's in New Zealand, but he had a great politician that led his country. So I always like to I always mention her when she comes up, when we talk about politics, because Malcolm had a great leader a couple of years ago during the COVID crisis, his president of his country. So yeah, this is a big yes for me. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Yeah, I mean, there's actually, like, if you want to know more, there's actually a documentary about Jacinda as well, Prime Minister, which is out.
Great documentary.
Yeah. For the longest time, the only thing I knew about Mr. Smith Goes to Washington was that filibuster scene. And I knew that as soon as like Jimmy Stewart was the one that won, like this is one of the ones I had to watch for this because I knew it was going to come up for sure. And yeah, it's a really fantastic like political movie, and it's one of those ones where especially nowadays, it's really hard to watch any political movie without seeing sort of, oh yeah, this actually resonates with today for various reasons. Like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is just fantastic. And yeah, so it's an easy yes for me. And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington is going to make the list. Dan, we go back to you for your next nomination.
Well, I mean, I don't know if Kirk knows this, but I would imagine Kirk knows this. But I mean, I know Malcolm knows this. You guys know I'm a big fan of Westerns. And one of my favorite Westerns, if we did a list of top 12 Westerns, this movie would be on there for me, as far as I'm concerned. Jimmy Stewart plays the senator that goes back to his small town that he's from, and he has to go for a funeral. And then there's this story about who shot this famous gun guy named Liberty Valance. And then you got John Wayne in here, and John Wayne's really cool in here. It's a John Ford movie, so you know John Wayne's going to be in a John Ford movie, you know. But John Ford gets Jimmy Stewart in here, and Jimmy Stewart and John Wayne together. And I mean, he ends up being a cook in a diner at one point in the movie. It's just a fun movie, and you get this whole idea where we all heard these stories. Each time somebody tells a story, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And who did this and who actually shot Liberty Valance? You know what I mean? And great film. I have to have the man who shot Liberty Valance on this list.
Yeah, this was one of the last. This was one of the last movies that I've actually finished watching for this. And yeah, it's fantastic. I will say John Wayne saying program so much was getting on my nerves. I don't know if he says it in just every movie he does, but it was said so many times in this movie. There's like, yeah, we get it. This is your catchphrase, John. But I thought the movie itself was really fantastic. And I'm not a big Western guy. But this is probably one of the few that I really did enjoy. But Kurt, what do you say about the man who shot Liberty Valance?
Yeah, I said for my last pick, I said I had two movies that I wanted to bring up. This was the other one. So I was sure someone was going to talk about this. Again, we talked about George Bailey. We talked about Jefferson Smith. I think Ransom Stoddard is up there in that upper echelon of George Bailey Jimmy Stewart characters, and just the way this is one of his best examples of him being that guy that just kind of like stands up for himself, for the little guy, for what's right, and just won't back down regardless of the danger to himself or what other problems it may cause. He's great, and then I think John Wayne's really good at it. You get like an early like revisionist Western kind of feel to it, where you have John Wayne in a position where he realizes his time and is coming to an end, in his West is dying. And it's Ransom Stoddard and the political side of things that are going to the more like law and order side of things that are going to start to take over. And you see that like in the third act, you get a little Mr. Smith stuff where they're trying, they're going for statehood and they have to fight against the ranchers and all these people who are coming up against them. And I also want to give a shout out to who's the Edmund O'Brien, who plays the publisher of the newspaper, and who, in my opinion, just steals every scene he's in. I think he's fantastic in this. So, again, yeah, this was in my top 4, which is a tough top 4 or 5, which is all fantastic movies. But yeah, it definitely belongs to this list.
And that is going to make the list. 4 spots left, and it's on me. And I'm going to bring up this one because Most people nowadays would know the story as You've Got Mail, but I'm going to bring up the original, which is called The Shop Around the Corner. And like this is one that I watched for the first time for this. Once again, it's just one that I've heard a lot about, and so it's definitely an excuse to watch this for this, and I thought this was kind of like a fantastic romance movie, and I thought it was just one of those ones where I think it worked. I think it worked better. The romance worked better here than it did in You've Got Mail, because I could actually feel the chemistry in this, and I think it's just one of those ones where I think is really enjoyable and just a really sweet romance movie. Kurt, what do you say about The Shop Around the Corner?
I do think we need some romance or rom-com representation on this, because Stewart was such a great, romantic leading man. But this isn't the one for me. I feel like it's not a bad movie, and I do think it's better than You Got Mail. But I feel it's too, I don't know if episodic is the word, or maybe just it's too busy. You have all these side characters kind of distracting from the main plot. It kind of loses focus throughout for me. And I don't connect with that central relationship as much, because there's so much kind of background noise. So again, not a bad movie, but again, there's a lot of great movies to choose from. So I'm gonna say no to this one.
Dan, what do you say about The Shop Around the Corner?
Yeah, another one, Malcolm, that you nailed. I mean, it's just part of that thing that you said you don't like it because of the side character is the ensemble cast in here, Kirk. It's like you love all these quirky, different type of people that come into the people's lives and come into the shop and or come and go within the concept of the movie. You know what I mean? And I think the relationship was very good. I don't think it was that bad of a movie. I think if you're gonna have rom-com or romantic film representation, this is kind of the one we should have on the list, in my opinion. That's just, and I think, Malcolm, I think you're right about this is a cute film, and it's a cute kind of story with these characters, and the supporting cast really kind of make it that much more fun. So I would say yes to A Shop Around the Corner.
Yeah, and I think I know the one that Kirk's alluding to that he's probably going to bring up in a minute. But yeah, Shop Around the Corner is going to make the list. And Kirk, we go to you next. What is your next nomination?
Malcolm, has there ever been an episode where we made a list in 12 picks straight with nothing getting rejected?
I think it's happened once or twice, because it's definitely a rarity.
We may be on our way to that. So that's like you said, that movie. I get at this point where we got 3 picks left. We got 9 movies that legitimately belong on this list. I have no complaints. Even the ones I don't love, I have no complaints about it. So it's a matter: do I pick another obvious pick, or do we start talking about maybe some stuff that's a little more obscure, a little more underseen? I'll go with that. I'm going to pick a movie that I saw for the first time this week in preparation for the show. One I'd always wanted to see, and I finally got around to it, and that is Flight of the Phoenix. This is a story about a group of people who work for an oil company in Africa. They're flying over the desert. Their plane crashes. And it's like a adventure survival story about how they're going to get out of this. They have limited food, limited water, and resources, and no one's going to find them. They're off course, and they're on their own. Eventually, it's determined that they are going to try to build a new plane out of the parts of the old plane, and that's more or less the second half of the movie is them trying to make that happen. Whether the debate of whether they can, is it going to work? Really interesting idea of a lot of the guys agree this isn't going to work, but we're probably all going to die here. So let's let everybody die with some hope doing this instead of just sitting in the desert and baking in the sun until we drop dead. So that's really cool. Jimmy Stewart plays the pilot, who, again, kind of like an over-the-hill character, past his prime. He's been a pilot for years, but is now on this junk route, flying these guys from, kind of puddle jumping from one spot to another. Amazing supporting cast. Just one of those great supporting casts you only get in the 1960s. Richard Attenborough, Peter Finch, Ernest Borgnine, Ian Bannon, George Kennedy. Just a collection of great personalities and great faces trying to survive this ordeal. So again, like I said, this is one for me that might be on the bubble. But I think it is a great movie. And I don't think we have a Western, but we really don't have any action adventure movies yet. And I think this would be a great representation of that on the list.
Dan, what do you say about the Flight of the Phoenix?
Well, I have this as my number one honorable mention, Kirk. And I said to myself, if somebody picks this, that I would say yes. I mean, everything you said, I just don't want to sound like I'm just listening to what Kirk says and agreeing to everything what Kirk is saying. But Kirk is a smart guy, and for a first-time watch, I loved your enthusiasm for Flight of the Phoenix, Kirk, because this is really a fun movie. And you get the Indiana Joneses, and you get the Jeff Bridges types later in years. In movies where you say, "Oh, these are kind of great adventure movies," and like Buckaroo Banzai and some of these types of adventure. But this is one of the ones that they copied. Steven Spielberg probably used this as part of the influence for copying Indiana Jones, the pulps and stuff that he wanted to do, because this is fantastic. I saw this as a kid, and I was like, wow, I haven't seen anything like this. And then Indiana Jones comes out, and then okay, Indiana Jones is like this grizzled kind of guy who's a professor, and he's going through these adventures. But I love this character of him just being this kind of this older pilot, going here, going there, wherever the money takes him, wherever the job takes him. You know what I mean? Kind of like Han Solo. Does that ring a bell, anybody? I think it's a kind of a character that you could compare to Han Solo in a way. But you said it all, Kirk. Yeah, I said to myself, if this is brought up, it's my number one honorable mention, I would say yes. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah. I've only ever seen the remake with Dennis Quaid. I haven't. Look, this is what I was sort of on this and if I had more time, I probably would have gotten to this one eventually. But yeah, Fly the Phoenix is going to make the list regardless. And Dan, we're going to go back to you.
I said we're going to talk about Hitchcock a lot, and I'm sorry that I have to bring up another Hitchcock, but it's a movie that I just absolutely love because it's got a great story, and it's another far-flung story off in Morocco. A couple are just going on vacation in Morocco, and they end up getting embroiled in a murder in Morocco, and it's got all kinds of intrigue and action and adventure, gorgeous cinematography, and it's called Man Who Knew Too Much. And Jimmy Stewart, opposite his wife this time around, which, there's a what you call it in these movies where Jimmy Stewart, Alfred Hitchcock keeps putting Jimmy Stewart and some of his other actors with the best actresses of the time. This time it's Doris Day. And it's a fantastic, it's funny, it's got craziness going on in there. And so when I saw what we're doing, I said, I got to get The Man Who Knew Too Much on the list. Hopefully you guys feel the same way.
This is a movie that I watched for this, and yeah, I think it's a really good sort of Hitchcock movie again. And if people complain we've got too much we didn't need all the Hitchcock and Jimmy Stewart collaborations, all I'll say is que sera, sera, whatever will be, will be.
Thank you, Malcolm. Thank you, Malcolm. I love it.
But it's one of those ones where it's like so I always found it funny when a director decides to remake their own movie. It's like that's like
he made it better. He made it better.
I mean, I haven't seen the original. I'll probably see the original eventually.
This is a better version. This is the better version of A Man Who Knew Too Much.
I mean, I don't doubt it, but yeah, I think The Man Who Knew Too Much is really entertaining. It's just and I think it's just one of those ones where I think is just fantastic, and just another great performance of Jimmy Stewart. But Kirk, what do you say about The Man Who Knew Too Much?
Yeah, this is a bubble movie for me. It was somewhere near like bottom of my list, honorable mention range. But I'll give it a unanimous yes. Um, I think I think this is Hitchcock's best like The Wrong Man movie, which he did a lot. Like you compare this to North by Northwest. I feel like you watch that, you're
Yeah.
like Cary
Wrong
Grant.
place at the wrong time, right, Kurt?
Yeah,
Wrong
exactly,
place at
yeah.
the wrong time.
And it's like, but you watch Cary Grant North by Northwest, like it's Cary Grant. He'll figure it out. Like he can kind of work his way through this. But when you have like middle-aged school teacher Jimmy Stewart, you're like, this guy's in trouble. How is he going to do this? So I love like the way he is portrayed as really just a guy. I think Hitchcock does a better job of that than any of these type of movies where he has no skills or no abilities. But it's just a completely normal guy who has to figure out what's going on here. And you add that kind of that higher stakes where it's his son that's been kidnapped and his wife is involved. Like you said, Doris Day, who's great in it. Like her acting as she's going through all this and deal with loss of her son and how they're going to deal with it, I think is fantastic. Just a really good plot, good fit. Like the little like henchmen inside of villains are a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I have no problem with the fourth Hitchcock on this.
No, you're right. You hit the nail on the henchman, man. You gotta love the henchman. He had some great henchmen in this.
But yeah, the man who knew too much is going to make the list. And it comes to me. This is tough. There's a few I want to bring up, but there's also one that I think I should bring up because if it doesn't make the list, it's probably one of the few well-known ones that people are like, how the hell did this not make the list? And I'm gonna go for that one because I think there's one that I'm looking at to bring up, but he's not really in the movie much. So I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring up the Philadelphia Story. Because this was one that it's been a while since I've seen it because I watched it a long time ago for something. I can't remember what it was. But yeah, and I think the chemistry between Cary Grant, Katharine Hepburn, and Jimmy Stewart is just fantastic, and I think this is one that I think should be on the list. And yeah, but Kurt, what do you say about the Philadelphia Story?
Yeah, thank you, Malcolm. It was between this and Flight of the Phoenix for me. So I would have been bummed if this didn't make it. So I'm glad that you brought it up. But yeah, I mean, Stewart, Hepburn, Grant, maybe the three best actors of the century together in one film. How could you not include it on a list like this? They're all great in it. I think Katharine Hepburn, and really good. Like again, great side characters in this movie. I think great. Like it's rounded out with like the little girl and everybody, and the kind of like all the physical comedy and like the situational comedy is really good. I think it holds up great. So yeah, definitely. I'm glad you brought it up, Mel.
And Dan, what do you say about the Philadelphia Story?
Yeah, I mean, if one of you two didn't bring it up, I would have brought it up next myself. I just think you got to have this on there with this ensemble cast and the screwball comedy. We really don't have a screwball comedy on the list per se. So I think this really rounds out all the genres that you would think of back in the day that Jimmy Stewart worked in. And yeah, like Kirk said, I mean, the ensemble with Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant and Jimmy Stewart opposite each other is just terrific. I mean, so this had to be on the list. So I'm glad you brought it up, Malcolm. Good job.
And if that Philadelphia Story is going to round out the list, but Kirk, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I mean, we have a Western on here, but he did so many. And we could have had more on here. Winchester 73 and The Naked Spur, two that I had on my list. And one movie that he wasn't necessarily a star of, I think he's third billed, is After the Thin Man, the second movie in the Thin Man series. He is a character in that. And that's a great movie, and he's really good. And I don't want to spoil, but it's a different kind of Jimmy Stewart role. It's an earlier role for him, and it's a different kind of role than you're used to seeing him in. So I think that's good. And another romance that we didn't get to, Bell, Book, and Candle. I think is a really solid movie. It's just so hard doing 12 for Jimmy Stewart because you have maybe 20 movies where they make the list, 20, 25 movies. You're like, oh yeah, that obviously belongs on there. Narrow it down to 12. So all these we're talking about, I'm sure everything you guys talk about are legitimately should be on here. But those are just a couple of the other ones I would have considered.
And Dan, did you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, I also had Winchester 73. That would, if we had another spot after a Philadelphia Story, I probably would have brought up Winchester 73. Great film. I don't want to get into it if you haven't. It's also on the Criterion collection. If you guys want to see and you haven't seen Winchester, it's available on the Criterion collection. Very good movie. I'm a fan. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of How the West Was Won. I love How the West Was Won. As a kid, I watched it a bunch. He's in one of the segments of How the West Was Won. It's like an anthology Western where it's a bunch of stories, and he's in one of the stories. And he plays a villain. How about this? He's a criminal crook clown in The Greatest Show on Earth. He's a shiesty clown. I have a friend who's not a fan of this at all because it knocked out his favorite movie in the Academy Awards. Singing in the Rain did not win that year. So a friend of ours, Malcolm, is not a fan of The Greatest Show on Earth because of Singing in the Rain. But yeah, I love him as the shifty clown in Greatest Show on Earth. That's all the honorable mentions I had.
I mean, so there was a tragedy Singing in the Rain wasn't even nominated.
Yeah, that's why our friend was upset about that.
Oh, and I don't think The Greatest Show on Earth is a good movie. I didn't like it either.
It's not a great movie, but Jimmy Stewart is great in it. He's definitely the best part of it. He's definitely the best part of it.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I probably it's one of those ones like if it came up, it would have been an easy no for me because I just didn't like the movie enough to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
right. I would have said like Jimmy Stewart is a great performance, but I just don't like the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I did. And for me, some of the other ones that I mostly I watched for the first time for this, the Glenn Miller story, I think is a really good biopic he was in. And I also really enjoyed Broken Arrow. I think he's really good in Broken Arrow, where he's like befriending this sort of Indian and look, I know someone's probably going to mention it, but look, An American Tale of Evil Goes West is a good movie, but I didn't think I didn't think Dan and Kirk would have gone for it.
What was that, Malcolm? What was that last one?
An American Tale of Evil Goes West.
That was his last movie.
Yeah.
I think his last one. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. You guys brought up a bunch of them. Going through this list, get ready for it, made me realize how much of his stuff I haven't seen, and I'm really excited to go through. There's a lot of stuff I still want to go through. Broken Arrow is one of them. How the West Was Won is another one of a lot. I want to fill out his filmography because there's so much stuff.
Oh yeah, no, there's one of those ones. But I just stumbled across them. A couple of them when I was at the library. It's like, no, I'll get them out.
The Shootist is another Western.
Shootist, yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah,
another Western.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one that I probably would have brought it up had we had some like not been on a roll and getting things in. Because he's only a small part in that, but he's still good in the movie as well. But it's time to rank them. Just to recap what we've got on the 12, we've got It's a Wonderful Life, we've got Vertigo, we've got Harvey, we've got Rope, we've got Rear Window, we've got Anatomy of a Murder, we've got Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, we've got The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, we've got The Shop Around the Corner, The Flight of the Phoenix, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and The Philadelphia Story. But Kirk, what do you have for number 12?
My number 12 would be Shop Around the Corner.
Dan.
I got Harvey.
We're gonna have a tie because that might be a little bit controversial, but I do like it, but I did give a watch the Philadelphia Story. But we're going to go to the chat. Philadelphia Story, Harvey, or The Shop Around the Corner. The first comment I see will decide what ends up at 12. And it's going to be The Shop Around the Corner. But Dan, what do you have for
Harvey.
Kirk? What do you have for
My pen's dying, but I said Vertigo.
and I was thinking of the Philadelphia Story, so go to the chat again. First comment I see Vertigo, Harvey with the Philadelphia Story. As I still,
Looks like Harvey.
yeah, it's going to be Harvey. As I catch up on making these banners. But I'm sticking with the Philadelphia Story. Kirk, what do you have for 10?
Also, right, done it. I'll also go to Philadelphia Story.
And Dan. But the Philadelphia Story is going to be at 10. Kirk, what do you have for 9?
I went Flight of the Phoenix.
Rope.
Right. And I haven't changed my board yet, but I've just so caught up on the banners. And I would have gone the man who knew too much. So got the man who knew too much, Rope, and Flight of the Phoenix. The first comment I see. Which is most likely going to be Leo. And it's going to be the Flight of the Phoenix at 9. Why couldn't Jimmy Stewart be in a more short titled
Right.
Yeah, but Dan, what do you have at 8?
Sticking with Rope.
I'm sticking with the man who knew too much.
Yeah, I'll also go Man Who Knew Too Much.
And the man who knew too much will be 8. I'm going to go for the man who shot Liberty Valance. Kurt, what do you have at 7?
I want Anatomy of Murder.
And Dan?
Rope.
So we got the man who shot Liberty Valance, Rope, and Anatomy of a Murder. Comments. First one I see will decide it. And Brian got in first, and it's going to be Rope.
Dang it, Brian.
But Rope is going to be at 7. Dan, what do you have at 6?
What did Kirk have last time?
Anatomy of a Murder.
Anatomy of a Murder.
But you know, I'm sticking with the man who shot Liberty Valance.
I got Anatomy of a Murder.
Anatomy of a Murder.
I think it's okay to bring this back up. I'm bringing Vertigo back.
Damn it!
So we got a 3-way tie: Vertigo, Anatomy of a Murder, or the man who shot Liberty Valance. Going to the chat. First comment I see will decide on what ends up at 6.
Ooh.
And 2 people got in, but Brian got in first. It's going to be Anatomy of a Murder. Just to recap what we've got left. We've got It's a Wonderful Life, we've got Vertigo, we've got Rear Window, we've got Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and we've got The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. I'm sticking with The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance for 5. Kirk, what do you have for 5?
It's Vertigo.
My
and
pen just ran out of ink. So
you
I'm
can
gonna
just
go-
say it.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm going. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
So, chat, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Vertigo, or The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. The first comment I see will decide. And both of them are coming in straight at once. And Leo got in first with Liberty Balance, although Brian would have gone the same way too.
I need to erase it now.
Yeah, they're both essentially popping up at the same time.
Yeah.
Kirk, what do you have for number 4?
I have Vertigo again.
I'm going with Mr. Smith Goes to Washington again.
And I'm also going Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. But we've got this is going to get really interesting now. We've got 3 movies left. So we've got It's a Wonderful Life, we've got Vertigo, and we've got Rear Window. Dan, what do you have for number 3?
I'm going to go with Rear Window.
I'm going to go with It's a Wonderful Life.
And I'm going to go Vertigo.
So chat, It's a Wonderful Life, Vertigo, or Rear Window. First comment I see will decide on what ends up at 3. And it was actually Leo they got on first, but they both said the same thing anyway. That really now voting for number 1 between It's a Wonderful Life or Rear Window.
And we're putting down what we want for number 1, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we can't have a tie. So
Nope,
this
not.
one out.
But Kirk, what do you have for number 1?
It's a Wonderful Life.
Dan.
And I'm going to go It's a Wonderful Life.
I would have gone Rear Window. But I'm not upset with It's a Wonderful Life being number 1. But with that, to recap, our top 12 Jimmy Stewart movies. At number 12, got The Shop Around the Corner. At 11, we got Harvey. At 10, we got The Philadelphia Story. At 9, we got The Flight of the Phoenix. At 8, we got The Man Who Knew Too Much. At 7, we got Rope. At 6, we got Anatomy of a Murder. At 5, we got The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. At 4, we got Mr. Smith vs. Washington. At 3, we got Vertigo. At 2, got Rear Window. And number 1, It's a Wonderful Life. And that is ranking for this week. Next week, we're in honor of Disclosure Day. We're going to be doing a redux of Steven Spielberg, so it'll be interesting to see how different that list will be from last time we did it a long time ago. But Kirk, where can people find you online?
Look for me on follow me on Letterboxd. My name is right there. If you're watching the Jimmy Stewart episode, you probably like classic movies. You want to hear more talk about classic movies. Every month over at Multiplex, Andrew James Barr, Pace Johnson, myself, with different guests every month, talk about what Dan already mentioned, the Sight and Sound list from 2022. We're going through that 3 movies a month. This last episode, we did Blade Runner, a few others. So look for that the first Friday of every month.
And Dan, we can be on you online.
I can find me under my name, Dan Skip Allen, on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram /Threads, Blue Sky, Letterboxd. Also, I'm over on the Movie Hero Network sometimes. I'm over on Chasing Labels Network sometimes. I'm over on the Phil Pickle Network sometimes. I'm with Malcolm on Gone with the Wind, our awards show podcast where we discuss All Things Award Show. We're on a little bit of a hiatus right now, but we'll be back soon. Also, I'm the owner, editor-in-chief, and head film critic of FromTheFourthRow.com, and I have my Disclosure Day review up there. We have Spider Noir review up there. I have Toy Story review coming this week. I have Supergirl review coming this week. Anything and everything you think you need to read a review about, TV shows, movies, animated shows, that sort of stuff. We did a episode by episode Euphoria review series. We're going to be doing an episode by episode House of the Dragon season 3, so stay tuned for that. All that stuff. If you haven't seen the movie, don't read the review. Read the review after you've seen the show or the movie. I highly recommend you watching the movie or the show first before you read our review. But you can find all kinds of stuff over on FromTheFourthRow.com. Even trailers. I'm even doing trailers over there. So, yeah.
And you can follow me on Tape Productions, hosting Rankin every week. Next week, we'll be doing top 12 Steven Spielberg movies. But and you can also find me sort of on my own personal YouTube channel, Malcolm Smurf Media, doing Spear from the Past. This week I'll have Ryan Payne on to talk about King of the Ring from 1999. And you can find me popping up at various other places on the Movie Hero Network and all that from time to time. And yeah, but that is it for today. Shout out from everyone here. And yeah, so that is it for today. We'll see you next time.